Okay, now the next thing is when they got kicked out of Europe, where did they go first? Al-Maghrib. Al-Maghrib is Northwest Africa. Today it's known as Libya, Tunis, Morocco, and I think it's like 2 more countries. That's where they sent them. Now, when they tell us the story, when they infiltrate the Moors, they tell us this is Northwest Africa and they got a claim to the land over here, right? They saying that the Moroccan Empire is ancient. Morocco was established in the 50s. That's not ancient to me. So before it was Morocco, it was a province of Al-Maghrib. Now, if you can follow the narrative, you can uncover the deception. When they get over here, war ensues. Now remember, Cortez, Spanish conquistador, invasion. What was they say they was looking for? They was looking for Cordoba. Cordoba is called the City of Gold. This is when they unleashed the hordes of conquistadors, blackamoors and Tawny Moors on our land, right? We don't like to talk about the black conquistadors because now we have to deal with the Tudors of Europe, the royal family. Once we deal with them, we know exactly who we dealing with. Exiles from Europe. Well, how did they get to Europe and when did they go to Europe? When they went to Europe, they was called Etruscans and they wasn't called Moor. This was like in BC period to early AD. They didn't get a stronghold to Rome rose to power under Constantine, right? And then they had the Nicene Council to establish the church. For 700 years, they ruled Europe, specifically Spain. So now they call it the golden age of the Moors, but they're not telling you is Egypt had already settled Europe, established Greece, the Orisha land, what we call Ireland today, it used to be called the Orisha land. So now these Moors is taking the credit for what the Egyptians did. The Etruscans are taking the credit for it, saying that they civilized Europe. But it doesn't remove the imprint that the Egyptians had. But how do they undermine us? So now the war that's taking place in Europe got Egyptian priests and European natives fighting against the Etruscans and they loyalists. And this is why you got Moors that range from Blackamoor to Tawny Moor. In the middle, you got one that they don't talk about called the Swarthy Moor. Swarthy Moors is the ones that they call olive tone, right? They lighter than me, but they not light-skinned enough to be classified as a Tawny Moor. Over here, they gave us different terms to classify people along the same lines. These terms being mulatto, quadroon, and octroon. They want us to believe that the people that they put up to take the fall, the coat sievers, the fall guy, they want us to believe that these motherfuckers crawled out the caves and just whooped our ass. That's not gonna never happen. No mortals are not gonna ever defeat the gods. So you need to reevaluate the story because it got to be gods helping mortals to fend off gods. Okay, so then we go back. Who were the fucking gods? So the Egyptian story, you have to study Akhenaten, and you will know about the priest wars between the Amen priests or the Amun priests and the Aten priests. The Amun priests was the ones that say we can't never let people see who we are lest they rebel against us. So they always hide behind somebody else that they use as a cat's paw. The Aten priests be like, fuck what you talking about. They not gonna rebel against us because we know how to treat people. So the Conjure Wars began that far back. Enki requested Tahuti to set up Egypt, right? When he talk about his father in the Emerald Tablet, who he talking about? Okay, so his father asked him to, because he needed to block that barrier. If you look at Samaria, where the Anunnaki was landing at, where they had their launch pads at, and you look at the military strategic purpose of Egypt, Egypt was no more than Hollywood to us. It was what you call the gate. It was the gate to the motherland. So he needed us to block the gate. They not gonna never get past us unless something happened where we no longer functional. Kingu, spell asleep, everybody got to have amnesia, the good ones and the bad ones, so that the levels the playing field in the conjure war. You don't know who you is, I don't know who I am. Let's try to figure it out by reading the morals and the dogma. The ones who follow the dogma and get stuck, they on their own, because the righteous ones is going to be seeking the moral compass in all things. Where's the balance in this? So now they go from the Maghrib, they start launching out from the motherland to come over in the Western world to seize the city of gold, Cordoba. Right? Now they telling us they bringing slaves, but we wasn't the slaves. The slaves was what they call $5 Indians, was created to usurp the people of the land. And if we don't figure out who we is at the close of the age, guess where we at? The close of the age. Enlil win. If we figure it out, Tahuti, Enki, and Ainana win, or ISIS, they win, because this is how they settle conflicts on Nibiru with the royal families of Nibiru. Whenever they colonize somewhere, you only two ways you can take power. That's through hand-to-hand combat or through a conjure war. They institute the conjure war. All right, now, Noble Ali went in to the Moorish Zionist temple of Islam that was in New Jersey. And this is where he found out, because they told him they use pale faces to block institutions. Who are they? The Jewish Defense League and the ADL. The Anti-Defamation League, they always put in what they call Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and Khazarian Jews in leadership positions, but they all taking orders for somebody to look like me and you. It's only one thing. They don't work their way to the top. They murder the chief. They murdered the chiefs and the high priests and the priestesses that could tell the story. They bust the whole family up. And then on our tribal community, they bring their people in. And then they say, we the Hopi, we the Choctaw, we the Cherokee. Them motherfuckers ain't none of that shit. But now this is what you call assuming the position of power. So they established this corporate jurisdiction by undermining the original constitution. Most people didn't know we was operating under two constitutions. As long as you don't know you operating under two constitutions, one is a corporate jurisdiction, right? And one is what we call a de jure jurisdiction. You thinking you follow the same constitution, when you calling yourself a citizen, you actually calling yourself a slave.